We're talking about limits using a graph. And when you're looking at a graph, you're trying to figure out what the graph is doing on both sides of the function. So when it says the limit as x approaches 1 and it has that little negative there, that's asking you on the left side of 1. Here's 1, and the left side of it, think about your right and your left. This is the left, and this is the right. So on the left side, as I approach 1, look at the function, get close to that x value, this graph is going toward 1. Now there's an open circle there. That's okay. That's just what the graph is approaching, so that one is a 1. On the right, as I approach 1 from the right, it's approaching this y value of 2. The value you're putting here are always the y values. Whatever it's approaching are the y values. Now for x approaching 1, the limit is going to equal whatever these limits are if they're the same. If they're different, this is a does not exist, which I'm going to write a no solution. You can write D and E, or the words does not exist. The only way this limit would exist is if these two limits were the same. F of 1 is the actual y value at that point. That's the point where the open and closed circle matters. And if you go to 1, you find the closed circle, it's up at 2, so this is 2. These two values do not have to be the same, and a lot of times will not be the same. This limit matters about the limits before it, the one on the left and on the right. This is about the open and the closed circle at that point. All right, so when I look at this graph, and we're still talking about 1, this is 1 from the left. Here's 1. The left side is over. Here's 1. So the left side's talking about this. So take the graph and go towards 1. So the y value it's approaching looks like is here. It's at -1. And on this side as I approach it, looks like it's approaching the y value of 1. These are different, so the limit of 1 is just, again, does not exist. F of 1 is the y value at that place. It's where the closed circle is. It's on the x-axis, so that is 0. All right, we have another graph here. We're still approaching 1. Always look at that. It will not always be approaching 1. It just so happens that several of these examples are. Again, we're going 1 from the left and 1 from the right. Here's 1. Here's the left side. On this side, it's approaching that open circle, which looks like it's 1. And on this side, look, it's approaching the same thing. And even though there's an open circle there, both sides are going towards that open circle, which has a y value of 1, so that is 1. F of 1, notice there's not a closed circle anywhere, and that's open, so this one does not exist. Okay, looking at this graph here, again, we're looking at 1s. Here's 1 again. The left and the right look like they're both approaching that same y value of 1, so the limit exists as well. F of 1 is the point that you see. There is a point there at 1. It's down here at the y value of -2, so this is -2.